So 9 o'clock, welcome back everybody. We had a very interesting day yesterday and we hope to have the same day, the same kind of interest and lots of people joining us for the workshop today. We have a nice program in front of us and we will soon go through it. Before, I would just like to talk a little bit about a survey that our region is making right now on the space cluster in the Norrbotten area. So they, I should say, have been sending out a survey to some of you. And please, I would like to remind you to answer it because that will help us to understand how our cluster is functioning today and also what we can do about things in the future. So it will be sent out by the consultancy firm Sweco. So please check your mailbox. I think they will send it out again this afternoon in case you didn't find it. So back on stage again, we could look at the program, Olle, please, if you could share that with us. Today we are going to work a lot, not just sit and listen. So first out, we will have 6 voices to warm up, we could say. We have 6 new colleagues in our space region, and they all came of different reasons, and we would like to know why they chose to move here. And perhaps also they have already had time to see if there are any place for improvement here. So perhaps we will get some tips and tricks from them. At about 9 o'clock, we will continue with the workshop led by Mattias Bergström and Emma Norfors at LTU Business. They will guide us through. We will be divided into breakout rooms and we will come back and we will share ideas and really have time to dive into the question how we can strengthen our space region and also see to it that it gets as attractive as possible. Then we will invite Olle Norberg, Vice President in Space at Luleå University of Technology. He will talk about the conclusion of both days, both yesterday and today. And we will round up with a little glimpse of what can we expect of the next Space Innovation Forum. So just looking back a little bit on yesterday, I would like to invite Olle Norberg. So Olle, you were with us the whole day, and we would like to see Olle as well. Olle Nordpersson. Yeah. We had a really interesting day yesterday, Olle, and we had experienced people working in different regions, having the same kind of challenges, perhaps different opportunities that we have. But what is the most interesting takeaway that you got yesterday?
Well, thank you, Johanna. I think one of my greatest takeaway from yesterday was the way we were talking about well, our position in the world. I was thinking about the proverb, think globally, act locally. We are definitely working on a very global, competitive arena, but we need to act locally. We need to work together and create clusters where we find like-minded and partners which we can work together with. And that is exactly what is happening all over the world. We got an excellent example from Harwell yesterday, and we can also clearly see from the study that Alexander and Johanna presented yesterday that we are on a very good path towards a strong cluster also in Norrbotten in the space area. So I would say that those were my really strong takeaways from a great day yesterday morning.
Yes, thank you, Olle. You said that we are on the right path and we do have a lot of things in place already. So I guess that the next step for us will be to identify our challenges here and work from that. But where should we start?
Well, where should we start? That is a great question because there are many things to be done in the future. But again, I think we really need to work locally in terms of what we're doing, and one of the best ways is actually to proceed with those so the startups and the mid-cap companies like RFA and ESAR that are already with us, and build a cluster with those that have arrived to the stage, to the scene, and learn from working with these companies and how to help them and support them with talent, with resources, with support activities, etc. So that will give us a really good start for the growth of our cluster. That I think. Then, of course, on the national level, I think we need to also work with politicians and others to make sure that the idea of cluster formation is sort of taking a foothold also in Sweden, because it's not at all natural today. I mean, this is something that has been absent from Sweden in the past, in the space arena. So it is not natural, for example, for the space agency to talk about these things, and that has to change.
Yeah, you're pointing out something really interesting here. Changing way of thinking and doing things in a new way is always difficult. But I mean, as we do have role models right in front of us, I'm first of all thinking about the catapults and the UK Innovation and Research Program and so forth. So, I mean, you used to be the general director of the Swedish National Space Agency. So from that perspective, you have a very, very good insight in. Do you think how likely is it that Sweden will take the same kind of decisions that they have done in the UK? I mean, with a program, dedicated program with measurable goals, like a certain percentage of the world market, as they do at the UK, in a certain time frame and so forth. How likely is that, do you think, in Sweden?
A great question. First of all, I'd say that the UK initiative was when it came, I would say almost 10 years ago, at that time conceived as outlandish and very odd to set such goals. But yeah, of course, it has turned out to be a great driver for innovation and working towards common goals. I would say that even if Sweden doesn't do exactly like the UK has done, it's more or less inevitable that we have to change the current way of doing business. The whole financial policy and setup regarding funding of space activities need to be rethought, actually, because we are in a different paradigm and we just have to accept it. The competition is completely different to what it was 10 years ago. UK was very early on figuring out that this is the way things are changing. And now everyone else has to also follow suit and really rethink their activities and support really for the innovation system.
Yeah, a common roadmap so that we know what direction we should go to. But of course, all our different space regions in Sweden, they need the same roadmap, but they also need to act locally, as you said, because that was also a takeaway from yesterday. We were merging locally and global a bit, but actually we need to be a little bit everywhere. Thank you so much, Olle. Thank you. We will go on to the next point in the program, and we have invited 6 of our newcomers here in our region, in our space region. And we are just going to hear very short 2 minutes thoughts about why did they move to this region? What was it that attracted them? And perhaps also, have they seen something that we need to work on? So I will start by inviting Armel. First of all, Armel Frenes-Schmidt, who works at SSC. She is a space engineer. And are you there, Armel?
Yes, I'm there, Joanna. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. I will give you the stage for a couple of minutes. Please join your thoughts with us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for this. So yes, I joined Kiruna a few months ago in October 2020. I have to say that I knew about Kiruna for some years, and the first thing for me is basically Esrange Space Center. As a space addict and engineer for space, for me, Esrange represents history. Of course, we don't have so many space centers, so it was like first thing for me that attracted me. So when I had the opportunity to work at Kiruna, I really took this opportunity. And what I realized is that it was not only a space center, it was also a place gathering science, research, of course, rockets, ballooning. And I was really, interested by this. It's a single place. So that's why for me, when I had the opportunity to join for work, I really took it because I really think it's unique, definitely. So that's something important. And regarding life, I also appreciate the town size. I think it's also something different from other space area you have in Europe that are mostly close to big cities, etc. Here it makes also something interesting. The nature proximity is also something very, very interesting, and I really appreciate that. But if I want to, I mean, something, for example, a few weeks ago, I was able to see auroras from my living room. And this is something you don't have everywhere in the world when you work for space industry. So this is really unique. And if I want to say just one word about something to improve, one thing I really want to share is the struggle I had to find accommodation. I think it's very difficult at the moment in Kiruna. And that's something could be, I think, a limit for people to come here. So that was my word for you.
Thank you so much, Armel, and also very welcome to our region, I should say.
Thank you very much.
We'll see more of each other in the future. And now actually I have something so unique. I have a guest in the studio. I'm so glad to present Renelaufer, who is shared professor here at the Luleå University campus in Kiruna, Space Campus, shared professor in onboard space systems. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
How long have you been here?
I'm also here only for a few months. Like Armel, I started in September. I'm originally from Germany, spent the last 11 years in the US, and was very happy to be offered the opportunity to come here as a new chair professor and head of subject for onboard space systems to the Kiruna Space Campus here in a very unique space ecosystem. And of course, the opportunity, the personal opportunity was there to expand the existing research groups, connecting it with my own research interests that fit so well to what is done here. But also, let's face it, this is a very, very unique place where you have only a handful of places like this in the world, where you can go with your space project from idea and concept to design and development, to assembly and integration, testing and qualification, to launch an operation at one location within less than 1 hour of driving with no travel. And you can do this with your students together, with colleagues from academia, national research institution, local industry, startups, national governmental institutions, all in one location. That is very unique. And let's face it, as Armel already said, it's a place where other people come for their vacation. So for winter sports or in summer to watch auroras. So I think can't get better than that.
It can't get better. Fantastic. When you talk about this, you're actually describing a cluster here, that something Absolutely. That we have been talking about. And if we compare to the cluster in Harwell, where there are 6,000 people, and we're talking about the critical mass, and we are a bit, we envy them really. Yeah. But if we look at what we have, many people have said the last 2-3 years something about, we have a small cluster, so we are quick, we are flexible, everybody knows each other, and this is also an advantage.
It is absolutely an advantage that nevertheless shouldn't stop us from growing. So I think having seen what was presented yesterday on the Harwell cluster, I think this is a little bit also of a role model. So when do we connect, was my question, when do we connect also these related technologies, these related topics that are close to space, but not only space. So to have them here, but no offense to the colleagues in Harwell, you don't have a launch site.
We have a launch site, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
along with so many other things. So thank you so much, René, and also very welcome to our space cluster.
Thank you.
Okay, we will go on, and we have another person who has been working here for a couple of years actually, but he also came from far away. Mate Kirene, who is he is a space engineer here at the Institute of Space Physics in the same building where I am, just a couple of blocks away here. So Mate, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and very welcome.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, I'm a Kiruna veteran compared to the first talker. I've been here for 6 years now, but first I just came for a 3 months master thesis project, and my goal was to just go through my Nordic bucket list, but that bucket list became just longer and longer in the 3 months while I was going through. So for me, nature was a very, very important aspect in Kiruna, which got me stuck. But also, this 3 months master thesis project was extended with a project employment, and then eventually a permanent position. And I'm really glad that it happened, because as customers at S-Range said, that people are the no problem people here. And I feel this mentality at the Institute of Space Physics, also at S-Range, at LTU, that it takes a certain mentality to come here. And this mentality means that there are no problems, there are only solutions. We just have to find them. So it's really, really nice to work with in such an inspiring atmosphere.
So Mate, you mean that only the toughest come here? So we have the toughest team. That's what you're saying. I'm joking a bit.
Definitely a filter.
I'm joking,
it's definitely a filter. Yeah.
it is really. I think there's something behind here. You had the courage to move to a place that is not in the middle of the world, not the center of the world. Even though we are in the middle of New York and Tokyo, you know that, don't you? So we are in a way in the center.
Halfway.
Yeah. And today, I mean, when life has been so changing with the pandemic, for instance, where is the center of the world today? You can ask yourself.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
thank you so much. Yes?
Thank you.
Did you want to comment on that?
Oh yeah, it's just the small place that from coming from a big place, the small place has also definitely advantages. I mean, if you think about it, or from my experience, after a while when I go to town, I start to bump into familiar faces, and it makes you feel more home faster than it would make in a big city. So in that sense, a small city can be an advantage.
Yeah. And one other thing I have noticed, many of us living up here, we love the nature. So you and I, we can even bump into each other on the top of a mountain somewhere. And I can see other colleagues going the same way, because we are so much for outdoors here. So
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. So thank you, Mate, for your contribution here. The next guest we have is one of our students, Theresia Hestad. She has been studying space. Are you there, Theresia?
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Could you please give us your view on why space and why our space region?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm a space engineering student at LTU here at the Space Campus. And I first moved to Kiruna in 2015, actually, to do an internship called Tekniksprånget at S-Range. So it was a big dream. And after the internship, I actually moved to Kiruna, I think 4 times. In between, I lived in Luleå for my studies, and then I've been working at the summers at the S-Range, and then 2 years ago, I moved to Kiruna for my master's studies. And but at the moment, I actually live in Gothenburg, so I'm not in Kiruna at the moment. I'm doing my master's thesis here at Chalmers, but Kiruna is a very big place in my heart, so I think I will move back sometime in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that your story says that once you come here and you start to build your network, because you were very young. You came directly after high school, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you were even before your university studies, and that made you find a way to continue in space and also to start to build your network, which is rather easy in Kiruna, even though people might think it's not in the middle of the world, but everybody's so near here. So it's easy to help out.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great opportunity to be able to do that. It's not something you expect, maybe. And that is something I found so great about our space city, that it gathers space actors from all over the world and at the same place, as you say. And that is a very inspirational and motivational environment to be around, especially as a student. And it gives the whole education a unique edge. And it's hard to find, I think.
Yeah, we do have the possibilities to include the students in these real space projects, and that's something that we are very proud of. So thank you, Theresia. Thank you so much. Now we have two more people to talk to, and they are both within the two new established rocket manufacturing companies that have moved to Kiruna to establish here. We will start with Davide de Nublia, and he is a propulsion test engineer at ISAR Aerospace. Davide, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how are you guys? Yes, my name is Davide. I'm a propulsion test engineer at ISAR Aerospace. I lived both in Italy, Sweden, and the United States, so I've traveled quite a bit. And then I ended up here in Kiruna for starting my career as an aerospace engineer. I moved here mainly for my job, because it was a great experience to start my career with rocketry. So that was my motivation to come over to Kiruna. And plus, I mean, I wanted to experience the Arctic Circle in once in a lifetime. Coming from Italy is something that not everybody does. And yeah, I got pretty amazed by the city. I mean, it's a small town, but it has many activities. I really enjoy the winter sports, the nature, going hiking, all the possibilities that come within staying in Kiruna. However, if I have to point out some major problem with moving to Kiruna will be, as previously said, finding accommodation here. It's almost impossible if you come, especially from outside Sweden, and that I see it's a big problem towards developing an ecosystem that will support the growth of space, because if there are no place, or it's hard to move here, then people will just prefer somewhere else. And also the connection to the rest of the world. It's okay that right now that it's pandemic time, there are not that many flights in and out from Kiruna, but usually it's always hard to go from Kiruna somewhere else, even for a conference, going back to your family, on whatever. You always have to pass from Stockholm, then fly away, and so on. So in my opinion, and in my colleagues' opinion, those are the major problems we are facing right now. But of course, it has room for improvement. And I think as the space sector will grow here in Kiruna, it will get better and better.
Davide, tell me, when did you move to Kiruna? Was it
I moved
a year
here
ago?
In July.
In July?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
so
after my master.
Yeah, okay. So you moved in the summertime. So yeah, we still have a lot to do on with all the new apartments to become, we are moving our city in the same way. So we have an extra challenge there, but absolutely. I know that the vice chancellor or the vice council of the city is with us today, Stefan Sydberg, and he will also be one of the the facilitators in the workshop. So we are really trying to engage everybody to solve these things together. But Davide, thank you so much, and most welcome to our town. There we have a picture of you. Fantastic. It was very short. Can you say something?
No,
it was George.
That wasn't
George.
me.
Yeah. So it will be very interesting to meet you in person, Davide,
Yeah.
to see who you are, because you are
Sure.
you didn't share that picture with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
As soon as the pandemic goes down a bit, we will we'll be seeing each other. I hope really.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Jonas, we have the Jonas Goger, I think you say.
Yes. Hey.
Based engineer at Rocket Factory, the second rocket manufacturing company settling down in Kiruna for the moment. Very welcome.
Hello.
Can you
How's it going?
please share your thoughts about this?
Of course. So as you have already introduced me, I work also for a space startup in Kiruna, also for a German one. We're out here at S-Range Space Center. I actually moved here in September of 2020, but I've been in Kiruna before in 2016 with a student team. We came here to launch a rocket. So I was actually very, very surprised, and it was very, very nice to see how far S-Range and Kiruna as a city have come in the 4 years, because I think S-Range has built quite a lot of infrastructure. And I think this is also very nice for us as a company, and for me personally, that we have that we can take part in growing this cluster here, because we have a test site here that is newly built, so we can put our own ideas forward, and we can work together with the people from SSC to build the test site and to develop knowledge on both sides, I would say. But what I also like, apart from the work aspect, is that people still enjoy like the freedom and nature around here, because you have a lot of space, which is good for one to test rockets and rocket engines and all sorts of space infrastructure. But it's also good to enjoy your free time here. It's like a nice symbiosis, I think. On like the downside, I think the city of Kiruna, the space cluster here, is not that well known yet in the world. So I think unless you kind of, or even if you're in the industry, I think it's not natural that you get to know it. So I think there could be done more to spread the word, let's say, and to get more people to see what's growing here, because I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, you're probably right. We need to do our homework when it comes to promotion and talking about this cluster that we have since many years, actually. And that is a good advice from your side. And thank you so much, Jonas, because now we will soon, very soon, go over to the workshop where we actually will be talking about all these things and being a little bit more concrete, perhaps finding ways here and point out and identify the things that we need to do. So I wonder, did we show the program, or could we perhaps go to the slide of the program, just so that everybody knows what the day will look like? There we go. Yes, I did. Yes, we did. We did talk about it. Yeah. So now we will go over to, I will hand over to my colleagues at LTU Business. It's Mattias Bergström and Emma Norfors, and they will guide us through a workshop that is all about helping out and identifying the next step forwards. So please welcome Mattias and Emma